What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode here on Lifetime Cash Flow through Real Estate Investing. Again, as you can tell, I am not Rod Khleif. This is Axel, and I'm here with another episode regarding acquisitions and finding off-market deals. Now, as you've probably heard on the podcast feed over the last couple of months, I've been releasing episodes where I discuss how multifamily investors, or really any commercial real estate investors, can build their acquisitions pipeline, find more off-market deals, find better deals, and fundamentally grow their business faster. That's what I'm trying to do here with these episodes on the podcast feed. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about how you need to think about building your deal pipeline. And when I say think about building your deal pipeline, I mean the framework in which you need to think about acquisitions. I think a lot of investors, and I'm probably going to be describing a lot of the folks listening to this episode, don't really take an intentional approach to building their acquisitions pipeline or fundamentally finding deals in general. There's a lot of investors out there, and again, this may describe you, that more or less just wing it, right? When they think about finding deals, they're probably emailing some brokers when they receive a deal, and maybe they underwrite the deal, maybe they email some feedback, maybe they say, hey, could you keep me in mind on the next one? Maybe give me an early crack at it or first look at it, something like that. You may be somebody who is going to a meetup without really a lot of intentionality. You go to some here and there. You don't really go to the same ones frequently, some in person, some online. Kind of share that you're a multifamily investor in this area, but there's really no plan around it, right? You're not sitting down and actually looking at the process of building your deal pipeline through a lens in which you're building a framework with actions that are repeatable that you can go back to and actually build a strategy and a plan around. And that's fundamentally what I'm going to try to do here in this episode, is to give you the framework in which to think about building your deal pipeline. And notice that I keep saying deal pipeline. I'm not saying to find a deal, right? Fundamentally, what we are trying to do as multifamily and commercial real estate investors is define the actions that we need to take that generate deal flow, that put deals in the top of the funnel at a higher rate so that we have more deals to underwrite, so that it's more likely that we buy the next deal, the next 5 deals, the next 10 deals, etc. We are not in the business of thinking about how do we buy a deal or the next deal. We need to think about how do we build our pipeline. Because fundamentally, what we are trying to do in this business is look at 20 deals, 100 deals, thousands of deals. And because that's what we have to do in order to find the ones that make a lot of sense, is to look at hundreds of deals. So how do we put ourselves in a position to look at hundreds of deals? So first things first, let's talk about the 3 places that deals come from, or the 3 avenues in which deals come into a multifamily investor's inbox. And again, we're going to assume direct to seller here as well. Step 1 is prospecting, right? These are one-to-one actions that an investor takes to generate deal flow, to generate a lead. So this would include cold calling, cold texting, cold emailing. This could be to a broker, or this could be to a seller, or I say broker or any other deal finder, wholesaler, another investor, etc. These are the actions that we take where we are trading time for leads, right? That's the other way that I want you to think about this. What we are fundamentally doing here is going out to the marketplace and contacting individuals and sharing our deal criteria. We're sharing exactly what we want to buy. We're asking them if they'll sell us their deal, if it's a seller that we're speaking with. And really, this is time intensive, and that's how we're actually generating leads. It's not scalable, fundamentally speaking. The second avenue in which we're looking for deals is through marketing. If you're in the single family world, which is predominantly not the listener of this podcast, but this could be your marketing for, you're sending direct mail. This could be you are paying for PPC ads. Maybe you're paying for online social ads or some other kind of ads that drive traffic to your landing page or your website. That's fundamentally not what we're talking about doing here. In commercial real estate, PPC, social ads, that's not really money well spent, fundamentally speaking. What I'm really talking about here from a marketing standpoint is direct mail. And this is direct mail that you are sending to property owners. This could be direct mail that you are sending to other investors that you want to build a relationship with. But fundamentally, what I'm talking about here is you are trading dollars for leads. Again, in prospecting, we're trading time for leads. You have to pick up the phone, you got to type out the text, you got to send the email. You are trading time for leads, trading time for deal flow. Marketing, we're trading dollars for deal flow. It takes the same amount of time to spend, or to send, I should say, 1,000 letters as it does 2,000 letters, as 5,000 letters. And that's assuming you're not handwriting them. This is assuming you're working with a service and you're just, uploading your list and sending mail. Obviously, the cost is different. Obviously, you're going to receive more leads. The more dollars you spend, going out into the marketplace. The third avenue in which deals come into your business is through relationships. And this is where people bring you deals. Now, these could be brokers, these could be other service professionals, mortgage brokers, deal finders, etc. These could be sellers coming to you because they are aware of who you are. They heard that you bought Joe's building down the street and figured, hey, let's go bring him our deal when we're looking to sell. Fundamentally, you want to spend as much possible time as you can developing your deal pipeline so that people bring you deals. Now, it's much harder to get to that place early on. And I think that's where a lot of investors make the mistake is they try to become the deal magnet before they have a reputation, credibility, a demonstrated track record. And frankly speaking, your time is going to be better spent developing your track record and then executing on the actions that bring you deals and turn you into an omnipresent figure in your marketplace that becomes a deal magnet. Again, to recap, the three places that deals come from: prospecting, one-to-one, right? We're trading time for deals, trading time for deal flow, I should say. Number two is marketing, right? That's one-to-many. We're trading dollars for deal flow. Number three is many-to-one. That's everybody out there bringing you deals. That's the most scalable component of the business. That's where most investors find themselves after being in the business for a long period of time and doing a lot of transactions. And that's where this game gets really easy, is when a lot of people start bringing you deals and you don't have to grind so hard to find the next one and to build your pipeline. So let's go back to prospecting again. The actions that we want to take here: calling, texting, emailing, whether it's sellers on your list or whether it's brokers or professionals. If you are new to the business, this is where you should be spending the bulk of your time. You should not expect people to be bringing you deals, because why would they? You don't have a track record. You don't have reputation in the marketplace. You don't have that credibility, the demonstrated ability to close. So it's going to be much harder for you to rely on other people to bring you deals because you don't have that built yet. So when you're in the prospecting phase, you should be going out there, you should be buying a list of the properties in your target market within the criteria, the physical criteria that you want to pursue. You should be calling them, you should be texting, and you should be emailing the owners. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in this episode on skip tracing, etc. I've done plenty of episodes on that already on this feed, and you can listen to them if you scroll back 30, 45 days. When you are getting your business off the ground, when you're doing your first 1, 2, 3, 4 deals, depending on the size of the deals you're doing, obviously, if you're doing much larger deals, it only takes a couple to really build a track record. If you're doing smaller deals, you should be able to bang out a few of these direct to seller. That's what's going to give you a good story to go and tell other folks. Again, we're going to get to the relationships piece of this, which is many to one, but that becomes a lot easier when you actually have closed deals. Now, number two, let's talk about marketing. So again, assuming that you're going direct to seller here, you should probably start with prospecting because it's more budget friendly. Now, if you have cash that you're willing to burn and you already have, again, I talk a lot in other episodes about the power of consistency and the importance of consistency. You can't just send one round of direct mail and expect to do deals. It's just not how this works. It's a long sales cycle when you're buying multifamily or commercial real estate, and you need to have the patience and the foresight to plan 5, 6, 7 rounds of mail, likely every quarter, likely going to take you a year and a half to do this. But if you have the budget attached to that and you are ready, willing, and able to spend those funds, let's say you got $5,000 to spend on marketing, and you're going to do a list of, call it, 1,000, you're going to send 5 rounds of mail. It's good. That's going to put you in a position to have conversations, to build your pipeline. Great. By all means, go ahead and do that. If you are somebody that does not have the budget, you probably need to spend more time on the prospecting component of the acquisitions framework. Now, if you do have a budget and you do have time, what you should be doing is doing some prospecting as well as direct mail. And that's where you're really going to start to see results grow from a direct to seller standpoint. For example, you send your mail out on the 1st of the month, you know that it's going to hit mailboxes by the 7th. And then between the 10th and the 15th, you're sending your emails and you're calling and you're referencing your direct mail when you reach out to sellers. Again, when we start to work down the framework, if you don't have a big budget, you're going to be spending a lot of time prospecting. If you're inexperienced and you haven't done deals, probably not going to be getting deals from brokers. So you're going to want to spend time prospecting to sellers, marketing to sellers, so that you can get some deals under your belt, so that you can then go out into the marketplace and tell your story more effectively. And that's where we're going to get to now, which is the relationships, and that's many to one. So again, relationships is where most investors want to work to get to. And there's a lot of content out there that discuss how you can build better relationships with brokers, how you can build better relationships with other deal finders. And all of that stuff is great. And that content's worthwhile. And I spend a lot of time talking about that as well, how you can actually be somebody who is top of mind, right? I'm going to talk a little bit more about that now. But fundamentally, it's really hard to be that person if you haven't done deals, right? And it's kind of a chicken or the egg situation. Well, how can I do deals if brokers aren't going to send me deals because I haven't done deals? Well, that means you need to go back to prospecting and marketing, the first two, and you need to go out there and go direct to seller and take a couple deals down, or buy a much smaller deal, right? Buy a deal that is where your experience is no objection. Let's say you're trying to buy 50 unit deals. Well, go out there, buy a 10 unit deal. Do a deal that isn't so dependent on the buyer's credibility to win that deal if it's a brokered deal, right? You got to get some deals under your belt in order for you to be someone that a broker feels confident bringing a deal to, especially now where the market is a little bit more turbulent. And credibility, track record, demonstrated ability to close is more important now than it has been in previous years, where there was so much more money flying around, debt was easier to secure, investor capital was easier to raise. So long story short, we all want the secret on how to get brokers to send us more deals. Number one, the easiest thing to do is just do more deals. That's goes without being said. Now I'll talk about all the other stuff. You need to think about, how do I become omnipresent in my marketplace? And there's all kinds of actions that support the goal of becoming omnipresent in your marketplace. You need to think about when somebody has a deal, whether it's a broker, whether it's a property manager who hears their client wants to sell, whether it's a mortgage broker who hears about a deal that fell apart and they want to go and try to link up another buyer with the broker, they want to try and help out, whatever. How do you become omnipresent? Well, you need to get out into the marketplace and build relationships at scale. And the way that we do that is by executing on scalable messaging, right? And there's a few different things here. Namely, posting on social media is number one, right? Posting on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, starting a podcast. This is the most scalable way in which we can communicate with the marketplace. And it does not require a lot of energy to do this. If you just have a LinkedIn account with, I don't know, a few hundred people that are in real estate in your market, and you just post weekly for a couple of months, you're going to find more deals. It's not rocket science. That doesn't take a lot of effort. Now, this is a spectrum, right? It's not, are you active on social media or are you not, right? It's how active are you or how inactive are you? Just get started posting some type of content on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Get active in the Facebook groups in your marketplace. I'm sure your market's got a couple of Facebook groups that are tied to the local real estate associations. Get in there, talk about what you're looking for, interact, provide value. Start doing things where it takes you 5 minutes to create this message, but it's getting in front of 100 people, 300 people, 500 people, whatever the number is, 50 people, 20 people, right? Let's say you just start your Instagram account and you start putting up videos and you follow a bunch of other people in your market. All right, so you make a little video, 15 seconds, you're at your property, you're filming a renovation, 50 people see it. Most people look at that view count and think, well, that's atrocious. That's not a lot of views. Well, you still reached 50 people and you're still getting your message out there, and this is a scalable activity. Again, this gets so much easier when you do deals and you have more to talk about and you have that credibility, and it gives people a reason to tune into what you're doing and an interest in what you're doing. Number two is you need to leverage email marketing, right? And specifically, you need to start an email newsletter. I talked a lot on the podcast about this, but put everybody in your marketplace, geographically speaking, in your local marketplace where you're pursuing deals. I shouldn't say local, maybe you're looking for deals out of state and it's not technically local to you, but everybody that's doing deals in your marketplace, and send a monthly newsletter that brings them value. Updates about that market, data about that market, stuff about your business that maybe you're learning that you find to be valuable. Write it in your own words, get it out there, right? It takes a few hours a month, but if you get it to a couple hundred people on that email list, it's one of the more scalable things you can do from a communication standpoint. Helps to build your mind share with all of the folks in that network. Try to speak at real estate meetups. Try to go guest on podcasts. Again, scalable activities. Long story short, what all of this does is build your reputation and your awareness in that marketplace. And when you do all of this and you execute patience, and you do this over a long period of time, and you take a long-term mindset to it, you're building that mind share, and it makes it even more likely that the next time somebody has a deal, they associate that deal with your criteria and who you are, and they bring you that deal. Again, let me go all the way back to the top. Specific to relationships, which is a many-to-one activity. It's the most scalable way to find deals. It's going to be really hard for you to gain attention of folks and to really develop a reputation if you are not someone who has done deals or a deal. Even if you've only done a handful, couple, 2, 3, whatever it is, makes this whole process significantly easier because you have something to point to that says you're an active real estate investor. So before you start spending a ton of time posting on social media, doing your newsletter, all of this stuff, if you haven't done a deal, if you haven't closed a deal yet, you should go back to the first step, which is prospecting, trading time for leads. If you have a budget, trade it, jump to marketing, trading dollars for leads. You should spend time there until you've done a few deals, until you are somebody who has a good story to tell on the phone with a broker or a deal finder, whoever. And then you should start pouring more time into developing your presence in the marketplace, which is that relationships component of the step. So in recap, deals come from 3 places: prospecting, one-to-one; marketing, that's one-to-many; relationships, many-to-one. You have to walk down this path as a new investor, and this is where you need to follow. And depending on the stage of your business's development or your portfolio's development, your development as an investor, understand where you are and allocate your time and energy into the work that most closely aligns with where you are in the process. If you found this episode helpful, please leave Rod's pod here a rating and a review. If you'd like to connect with me, at Multifamily Wealth on Instagram, or feel free to shoot me an email, Axel, AXEL, at aligned, ALIGNED, REP.com.